One morning, Thomas, Annie, and Clarabelle were at Knapford Station waiting for some passengers when Oliver arrived. Thomas was very excited about the journey. "Hello, Thomas," said Oliver. "Where are you going off to?" "I'm going to be heading to Farquhar," said Thomas. When the station master blew his whistle, Thomas left the station immediately. "See you later, Oliver," said Thomas. Thomas was rolling along his branch line as he passed the vicar's orchard, where he saw Trevor. "Hello, Trevor," said Thomas. "Morning, Thomas," said Trevor. Later that day, Thomas unloaded some passengers when he saw his friend Bertie the bus. "Hey there, Thomas," said Bertie. "What are you doing here?" "I'm taking some passengers to Wellsworth after I unload these." "All right," said Bertie. After Thomas waited for more passengers, he went off to the next station. "See you later, Bertie," said Thomas. Later on at Elsbridge Station, Thomas had a drink at the water tower when Edward arrived with Sir Topham Hatt. He was very pleased with Thomas's work. "Thomas," said Sir Topham Hatt, "I've been very pleased with your work today." "Thank you, sir," said Thomas. "And I just want to let you know, I think there might be a delay on your line. Keep up the good work, and be careful." Sir Topham Hatt then went back onto Edward's train as Edward puffed away. Thomas was soon ready to leave Elsbridge Station, and Annie and Clarabelle were happy about taking passengers. "I hope we're going to make it on time today," said Annie. "But there's a delay," cried Clarabelle. "I'm sure there isn't," said Thomas. "After all, Sir Topham Hatt said there might be a delay." But as he was speeding along down his line, he could see that the viaduct was indeed broken and guarded with barriers on the track. "Cinders and ashes!" cried Thomas. "I must stop!" Thomas had gently applied his brakes. He stopped right before the barrier. "Whew, that was a close one," said Thomas's driver. "Indeed," said Thomas. "We must warn other engines before they come here." But while Thomas's passengers were being impatient as usual, Thomas heard a whistle he knew very, very well. It was Percy. He was going down the line pulling a slow goods train to Knapford Station. Percy first had to stop at a red signal. After he stopped at the red signal, the freight cars started formulating their ideas. "Push, pull, backwards, forwards," they cried, and they started pushing Percy. His driver and firemen jumped off. "Help!" cried Percy. Thomas tried whistling as loud as he could to warn Percy. The conductor tried to apply the brakes on the brake van, but it was too late. Percy dashed by Thomas, hit the barriers, and tumbled into the track. Percy plunged into the water. Nobody was hurt, and the conductor jumped out of the brake van before Percy plunged. But Thomas was sad that Percy fell into the lake below, and he hoped help would come right away. When Sir Topham Hatt heard about the news, he left immediately for the Viaduct. When he had arrived at the scene, Thomas told him what had happened. Percy was pushed by some troublesome freight cars, and he went off the viaduct, said Thomas. "Don't worry, Thomas," said Sir Topham Hatt. "We'll soon have Percy out of there." Henry soon arrived with the breakdown train to solve the problem. "I'll have to get Percy out of the lake before you all have to make several modifications," said Henry. Fortunately, Henry got Percy out of the cold, wet lake and put him on a flatbed. "Well done, Henry," said Sir Topham Hatt. After the foreman made several adjustments, Thomas's passengers were so late to the station. "I have to go now," said Thomas. "I'll see you all soon," and Thomas raced away. "Thanks for helping the foreman with the adjustments on the viaduct, Henry," said Percy. "Thanks, Percy," said Henry. Let's just hope this doesn't happen again. Agreed, Henry, said Percy. Percy was soon lowered with a nice warm fire, and he then raced off to Knapford. After Thomas dropped off the last of his passengers, he soon switched tracks and raced right away to Knapford. He saw Emily getting ready for the quarry and told her all about the Viaduct incident that happened earlier. "My goodness, Thomas," said Emily, "that sounded pretty dangerous." "I wonder how it collapsed," said Thomas. "Maybe it was from the strong winds that happened earlier," said Emily. "What makes you say that?" said Thomas. "Let's just say it was a lucky guess." "Oh, right."